January 1943, Berlin. The snow outside crunches under Nazi soldiers' boots, sharp, rhythmic, like a countdown to something bad. Inside WWII headquarters, the air reeks of stale cigars and printer ink, thick enough to taste. Heinrich Müller slams a leather-bound folder on Admiral Wilhelm Canaris's oak desk, the metal clasp clatters, making the coffee cup on the edge rattle. His hands shake so hard, the folder slides an inch left. "Main Admiral," he says, voice tight enough to snap, "I watched it. With my own eyes. Ford's Willow Run plant, they're not just building B-24s. They're building one every 63 minutes. An hour, give or take. 1.5 million parts each, engines, bomb bays, wiring that stretches for miles. It's not a factory. It's a weapon." Canaris leans back, steepling his fingers. He's seen enough spy reports to spot a lie, but Muller's face is pale, his eyes wide with a mix of fear and awe. He picks up the folder, fingers brushing the WWII's Black Eagle seal. Inside, photos spill out, women in blue overalls, hair tied in scarves, tightening bolts on wing panels. African American men in work boots, operating hydraulic presses that bend aluminum like paper. Rows of B-24s, silver, sleek, deadly, stretching across a tarmac the size of 50 football fields. He flips to a typed report, handwritten notes scrawled in the margins, 8,685 bombers projected by war's end. More than all German factories in Dessau, Munich, Hamburg combined. A line jumps out, workers, 11K women, 6K African Americans, 3K Polish immigrants, 1.2K teens. No master race, just people. Canaris sets the folder down, stares at Muller. "You're sure? No tricks? The Americans lie about their super weapons all the time." Muller leans in, voice dropping to a whisper. "I hid in a cornfield outside Willow Run for 3 days. Brought a stopwatch. 8:17 a.m. Tuesday, B-24 rolls off. 9:20 a.m., another. Same Wednesday, 10:03, then 11:06. I bought a guard a beer in Ypsilanti. He said they never stop, 3 shifts, 24 hours. Lights on even when it rains." Canaris rubs his temples. He knows what's next, take this to Hitler. And Hitler? Hitler will call it a lie. Because for the Nazis, this isn't just about numbers, it's about their whole ideology. They've spent a decade saying, inferior Americans, with their women and minorities, could never match the master race. But Muller's report? It's a sledgehammer to that lie. This is the true story of Ford's Willow Run, the factory that broke the Nazis' faith in themselves. A story of 42,000 ordinary people who built a weapon that crushed Hitler's war machine. And a story of how hate blinded the Nazis, until the B-24s started falling from the sky. First, let's get one thing straight, the B-24 Liberator wasn't just a plane. It was a monster of engineering. 67 feet long, longer than 2 school buses. 110-foot wingspan, wide enough to cover a 2-lane highway. For 1,200 horsepower engines, each loud enough to rattle windows. A bomb bay that held 8,000 pounds of explosives, enough to level a city block. Machine gun turrets on the nose, tail, sides, so it could fight while it bombed. And inside? 1.5 million parts. Every bolt, every wire, every rivet had to fit perfect. One wrong part, and the whole thing could crash. In 1941, when Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, America was in trouble. Nazis bombed London every night. U-boats sank our supply ships in the Atlantic. We needed bombers, lots of them, but our factories couldn't keep up. The biggest plant, in Fort Worth, built one B-24 every 10 days. That wasn't nearly enough. Then Henry Ford got the call. 78 years old, crusty, but still obsessed with efficiency. The government said, "We need B-24s. Fast." Faster than anyone's ever built a bomber. Ford looked at the blueprints, squinted, and said, "I'll build a factory just for this. And I'll build one every hour." People laughed. Even his own engineer said, "Mr. Ford, a car has 15,000 parts. A B-24 has 1.5 million. You can't assemble that like a Model T." Ford just smiled. "Watch me." He bought 3,500 acres of farmland outside Detroit, flat, open, nothing but cornfields and a creek called Willow Run. Broke ground in April 1941. By August 1942, the first B-24 rolled off the line. It wasn't pretty. Workers fumbled with parts. The assembly line jammed. That first plane took 15 days to build. But Ford didn't quit. He sent engineers to pick apart the process. They broke building a B-24 into tiny, simple jobs. One worker bolted 2 wing panels. Another wired the tail turret. Another filled fuel tanks. No one did more than one task. No one wasted time looking for parts. Conveyor belts carried everything right to their station. It was the Model T assembly line, but scaled up for a bomber. By early 1943, they hit their stride. 63 minutes. Not a typo. The clock above the assembly line ticks. 10:00 a.m. A B-24 rolls off, engine sputtering to life, silver wings glinting in the sun. 11:03 a.m. another one follows. To put that in perspective, Germany's top bomber factory, in Dessau, built one Ju-88 every 12 hours. Willow Run built 24 in a day, Dessau built 7 in a week, Willow built 168. The math doesn't lie. But the Nazis would. And here's the part that made the Nazis' blood boil: who was building these bombers? It wasn't just white men in uniforms. 42,000 people worked at Willow Run, and they were a mix of everyone. 11,000 women, secretaries, teachers, housewives who'd never held a wrench. 6,000 African Americans, men and women shut out of factory jobs before the war. 3,000 Polish immigrants, fleeing Nazi-occupied Europe. 1,200 teens, lying about their age to get in. Even disabled veterans, men who'd lost arms or legs in North Africa, now using prosthetics to run drills. Take Mary Anderson. 22 years old, a schoolteacher from a small Michigan town. She saw a poster, "Women Wanted, Build Bombers, Win the War." Quit her job the next day. "I'd never used a drill in my life," she later said. First day, the foreman, this guy named Joe, handed me a tool belt and said, "Learn to bolt these wing panels. Drop a bolt, pick it up, we don't waste parts." I dropped the wrench 3 times. My hands shook so bad, I thought I'd get fired. But the woman next to me, Betty, a former seamstress, leaned over and said, "It's like sewing. Steady, even strokes." She showed me how to grip the wrench, how to line up the bolt. By the end of the week, I was faster than the guys. We had a competition, who could bolt 10 panels first. I won. Got $5 extra. Sent it home to my mom. She cried. Said I was her hero. Or James Robinson. 28, from Alabama. Worked in a cotton field since he was 12. Heard about Willow Run from a cousin in Detroit. The pay was $1.25 an hour, more than I'd ever made, he recalled. Back home, I couldn't use the same water fountain as white folks. Couldn't sit in the front of the bus. At Willow Run, Joe, the foreman, looked at my hands and said, "You know how to work hard. I need you on the hydraulic press, bend fuselage parts. Be here at 7 a.m. No questions about my skin color. Just work." I took the bus every morning, back of the bus, like always. But inside the factory? No, colored only, signs. One day, a new guy called me a nigger. Joe heard him. fired him on the spot. "This factory's for building bombers," he said, "not hate." I never forgot that. When I trained new workers, I told them, "Here, your hands matter more than your skin." Or Anna Kowalski. 30, Polish. Fled Warsaw when the Nazis invaded in 1939. Her husband died in the uprising. She moved to Detroit with her 2 kids, 8 and 10. "I spoke almost no English," she said. "But the other Polish women helped me. We worked on wiring, threading cables through the B-24's wings. Tiny work, like knitting. I thought about my husband every day. Thought, this wire I'm putting in. It's gonna help bomb the Nazis who killed him." That kept me going. The factory had a nursery, for the women's kids. I dropped mine off at 7 a.m., worked until 3 p.m., then picked him up. They'd tell me about their day, drawing, singing. One day, my son said, "Mommy, did you build that plane?" I said yes. He said, "I'm proud of you." That's when I knew I'd done the right thing. This was revolutionary. For the Nazis, women belonged in kitchens, not factories. Himmler said, "A woman's place is the kitchen, church, nursery." African Americans. Subhuman. Immigrants. Polluters of Aryan blood. Teens and disabled vets. Weak links. So when their spies sent back reports of these inferior people building bombers faster than Germans, the Nazis couldn't process it. It went against everything they believed. Let's go back to Berlin, January 1943. Canaris folds Mueller's report, tucks it under his arm, and heads to the Führerbunker. The bunker is cold, underground, lit by harsh fluorescent lights. Hitler paces back and forth, yelling at a map of Russia. The Soviets push us back. Where are the reinforcements? Where are the bombers? Canaris clears his throat. Hitler stops, glares. What is it, Canaris? I don't have time for trivial spy reports. Mein Führer, Canaris says, holding out the folder, our agents in Detroit confirm, Ford's Willow Run plant builds 1 B-24 every 63 minutes. 1.5 million parts each. 8,685 projected by war's end. Hitler stares at the folder like it's a snake. Lies, he shouts, slamming his fist on the map. American lies. How can they build a bomber every hour? They're a nation of shopkeepers, of Jews and Negroes and women. They don't have German discipline. They can't assemble 1.5 million parts without messing up. Hermann Göring, the portly Luftwaffe chief, chimes in. He's smoking a fat cigar, uniform unbuttoned at the neck. Adolf's right, Wilhelm. I've seen American factories, dirty, disorganized. Workers take coffee breaks every hour, chat with friends, waste time. We build bombers with Aryan precision. This report is propaganda. The Americans want to scare us into surrendering. Don't fall for it. Canaris tries to push back. Mein Führer, Mueller saw it himself. He has photos. Witnesses. Hitler's face turns red. Enough. I won't listen to this garbage. The Americans are weak. Their factories will collapse. Their workers will quit. We win because we're the master race, because we're better. Get out before I arrest you for defeatism. Göring smirks, tapping cigar ash on the floor. Tell your spy to lay off American whiskey. He's seen things. Canaris leaves, the report heavy in his hand. He walks through Berlin, past Nazi flags fluttering in the wind, and thinks, Hitler isn't just angry. He's scared. But his pride won't let him admit the truth. This is the first layer of the Nazis' denial, arrogant dismissal. They see the evidence, but call it a lie. Because their ideology can't handle the truth. 3 months later, April 1943. Canaris is back in the bunker, this time with a stack of papers thicker than before. Mein Führer, he says, laying them out. 17 independent sources confirm Willow Run's production. There's a memo from Carlos Ruiz, a Mexican agent who drives a forklift at Willow Run, 10,000 parts delivered daily, all on time. Conveyor belts move at 2 feet per minute. No waste. No delays. A sketch from Juan Garcia, a Spanish diplomat who visited the plant, 50 B-24s on the tarmac, each with a Willow Run stamp. Notes in the margin, nursery for workers' kids. Cafeteria feeds 10K at a time. Hospital on site, workers get treated, not fired. A letter from a Swedish engineer who helped design the assembly line. The factory is 3 miles long. Every station has exactly what it needs, when it needs it. The Americans call it efficiency. It's terrifying. Hitler leans over the papers, finger tracing the sketch of AB-24. For 10 seconds, the bunker is silent, only the hum of the ventilation system. Then he slams his hand down. These people lie. The engineer is bribed. The diplomat is scared. But his voice is quieter. Shakier. Canaris sees it, doubt. Small, but there. Göring shifts uncomfortably. Maybe we should send another spy. To confirm. Hitler glares. Fine. Send Schmidt. But if he comes back with the same lies, he's executed. This is the second layer, hesitant doubt. They can't ignore the evidence anymore, so they stall. Hoping the truth will go away. Hans Schmidt, a young Nazi agent, arrives in Detroit in May 1943. He poses as a German immigrant, gets a job in Willow Run's parts warehouse. For 6 weeks, he takes notes, snaps photos, even steals a production schedule. His final report, sent in June, Willow Run builds 1 B-24 every 58 minutes now. Faster than before. Workers are tired, but they don't quit. They talk about winning the war, about going home. The factory has a sign, "We build freedom." I think they mean it. The Americans are not weak. They are strong. We have underestimated them. Canaris takes the report to Hitler. Hitler reads it, then throws it across the room. Schmidt is a traitor. Arrest him. Execute him. But Schmidt is already back in Germany. He hears about the order, flees to Switzerland. The Nazis' denial hardens. They don't send another spy. They don't investigate. They just pretend the report doesn't exist. This is the third layer, desperate denial. The truth is too painful, so they destroy the messenger. But the B-24s? They don't care about Nazi denial. They keep rolling off the line. August 1, 1943. Operation Tidal Wave. 177 B-24 Liberators, 120 of them built at Willow Run, take off from a Libyan airfield. Their target, the Ploiești oil fields in Romania. These fields supply 80% of Nazi Germany's oil. Without oil, tanks can't move. Planes can't fly. U-boats can't sail. If Ploiești falls, Hitler's war machine grinds to a halt. Lieutenant John Murphy is at the controls of B-24 serial number 42 to 40,678, built at Willow Run, 2 weeks earlier. He flies 50 feet above Romanian cornfields. The corn stalks whip the plane's belly, he can smell the dirt through the open window. Anti-aircraft fire, his co-pilot yells. A shell bursts 10 feet from the wing. Shrapnel tears through the metal. Warning lights flash, left engine failure. We're losing altitude. Murphy grits his teeth. Keep her low. We're almost there. He sees Ploiești, tall refineries, black smoke billowing. He hits the bomb release. Boom. Flames shoot 100 feet into the air. The heat sears his face through the window. He hears cheers over the radio, other B-24s hitting their targets. Then they run. German Bf-109s chase them, machine guns blazing. Bullets riddle the tail turret. But they make it, wings damaged, one engine dead, but alive. Half the B-24s don't. 53 planes shot down. 310 pilots and crew killed or captured. But they did it. They destroyed 40% of Ploiești's oil capacity. The Nazis' oil supply is cut in half. Back in Berlin, Hitler is furious. He summons Göring to the bunker at 2 a.m. The room is dark, lit by a single lamp. How did they do this? Hitler screams. Where did all these bombers come from? We were supposed to have air superiority. Göring shifts, his face pale. He's lost weight since the war started, his uniform hangs loose. They have that factory. Willow Run. The spy reports, they were right. Hitler stares. You knew. You knew, and you said it was propaganda. You let them build thousands of bombers while we starve for oil. Göring stutters. I thought it was exaggerated. I didn't think they could keep it up. I didn't think women and Negroes could build something this good. This is the breaking point. The Nazis can't deny it anymore. The B-24s are real. The production numbers are real. And they're coming for them. By 1944, Willow Run is running at full speed. One B-24 every 55 minutes. The assembly line is a well-oiled machine, conveyor belts move at exactly 2 feet per minute. Parts arrive by small electric trains that run through the factory. Workers take 10-minute breaks every 2 hours, no more, no less. Quality control teams check every part. If a bolt is loose, a wire frayed, the whole section gets fixed. Mary Anderson is now a foreman. She oversees 20 women on the wing panel line. We set a record once, 45 minutes for a wing, she said. The guys in the engine shop teased us. Said women couldn't handle speed. So we practiced during breaks. We timed each other. We wanted to show them. When we hit 45 minutes, the whole factory cheered. Joe, the foreman, gave us all a free meal at the cafeteria. I had a hamburger and a milkshake, best meal of my life. The guys? They bought us sodas later. Said we earned it. James Robinson is training new workers. He had a kid from Kentucky, 17 years old, named Tommy. Tommy lied about his age to get in. He was scared, his hands shook so bad, he dropped a fuselage part, James recalled. I put my hand on his shoulder and said, I was scared too. First day, I thought I'd mess up. Just watch me. I showed him how to grip the press lever, how to check for cracks in the metal. By the end of the week, he was better than me. Built 50 parts, all perfect. One day, he said, Mr. Robinson, I want to build planes when the war's over. I said, you will. You're good at it. Anna Kowalski's kids are now in school. Her son, Peter, wants to be an engineer. He draws planes in his notebook, she said. He says, Mommy, I want to build planes like you did. I tell him, build planes that carry people, not bombs. Build peace. The B-24s from Willow Run fly all over the world. They bomb U-boat pens in France, sinking dozens of submarines. They drop supplies to Allied troops in Italy, fighting their way up the boot of the country. They attack Japanese bases in the Pacific, destroying airfields and depots. On D-Day, June 6, 1944, B-24s from Willow Run bombed German defenses in Normandy, clearing the way for troops to land on the beaches. By 1945, 8,685 B-24s have rolled off Willow Run's line. That's more than Germany's entire heavy bomber production during the war, 6,769 Ju-88s and 1,188 He-111s. If you lined up all the Willow Run B-24s, they'd stretch for 60 miles. The Nazis try to catch up. They force slave laborers, Jews, Poles, Russians, Roma, to work in their factories. They cut corners, use cheap metal that bends, skip safety checks, steal parts from damaged planes. But it's no use. Their factories are bombed by B-24s, many from Willow Run. Raw materials are scarce, no steel, no rubber, no oil. Workers are starving, exhausted, sick. By 1944, Germany builds just 200 bombers a month. Willow Run builds 600. March 1945. Hans Schmidt, the spy who fled to Switzerland, sends a final message to Canaris, now under house arrest, accused of treason. Willow Run still builds 1 B-24 an hour. The war is lost. The Americans will win. Tell the German people the truth. Canaris never gets the chance. He's executed by the Nazis in April 1945. April 30, 1945. Hitler kills himself in the Führerbunker. June 22, 1945. Germany surrenders. The war in Europe is over. After the war, the Nuremberg Trials expose the Nazis' blindness. Canaris's diaries, intelligence reports, and meeting notes are found. They tell a clear, tragic story. The Nazis knew about Willow Run. They had proof. But they refused to believe it because it clashed with their racism. Göring, on trial for war crimes, is asked why Germany lost the air war. He hesitates for a long time, then says, "We underestimated American industrial capacity. We thought their workers were inferior, women, Negroes, immigrants. We thought they couldn't match our skill, our discipline. We were wrong." That factory in Detroit, Willow Run, it was the beginning of the end. That's the lesson of Willow Run. It wasn't just a factory. It was proof that diversity isn't a weakness, it's a strength. 42,000 people, women, African Americans, immigrants, kids, disabled vets, built a 1.5 million part bomber every 63 minutes. They didn't do it because they were superior. They did it because they were given a chance. Mary Anderson went back to teaching. She taught 5th grade in Michigan for 30 years. Every year, on D-Day, she'd tell her students about Willow Run. "I'd hold up a wrench, my old wrench, dented but still good, and say, you don't have to be a soldier to win a war. You just have to work hard, and respect everyone around you." Some kids would ask, "Did you meet Hitler?" I'd say, "No, but I helped build the planes that stopped him." James Robinson stayed in Detroit. He got a job at a Ford car factory, working on the assembly line. He raised 3 kids, all college graduates. His son, Michael, became an aerospace engineer. "Willow Run changed my life," James said. "Back in Alabama, I thought I'd pick cotton forever. At Willow Run, I learned I could do more. I learned I could help change the world. Now my son builds commercial planes, carries people, not bombs. Every time I see a plane fly over, I think, that's my son's work. That's my legacy." Anna Kowalski brought her sister and her family to America from Poland. They settled in Detroit, and her sister got a job at a factory. Anna's kids grew up, got married, had kids of their own. Peter, her son, became an engineer, just like he wanted. "Poland was destroyed by the Nazis," Anna said. "But here, we built a new life. My grandkids ask about the war. I tell them about Willow Run. I tell them, hate blinds people. Don't let it blind you. Build things that bring people together." Ford's Willow Run closed in 1945. The factory was sold to General Motors, then turned into a warehouse, then a museum. Today, it's part of the Yankee Air Museum. You can still see a B-24 Liberator there, serial number 42 to 40,678, the same one Lieutenant Murphy flew to Ploiești. There's a plaque next to it. Built at Willow Run, July 1943. One of 8, 685. Built by 42,000 hands, women, men, immigrants, veterans, built to win a war, built to prove that diversity is strength. Heinrich Müller, the first spy who reported on Willow Run, moved to Argentina after the war. He wrote a memoir called The Factory That Broke Hitler. In it, he said, "I saw the future at Willow Run. It wasn't about race or gender or nationality. It was about people working together. The Nazis couldn't see that. They were too busy hating to notice that the inferior people they mocked were building a weapon that would destroy them. That's why they lost. That's why we should never forget Willow Run." This is the story of Ford's Willow Run. A story of a factory that shocked the world. A story of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. A story of how hate blinds you, and how hope and hard work can win. In the end, the B-24s from Willow Run didn't just win a war. They proved a truth that still matters today: diversity isn't just a nice idea. It's a superpower. And when you bet against it, you lose.